So, Game 3 of the Western Conference Final. So let me paint this up for you if you didn't watch it. So for 28 minutes, it's all Portland, and they're up by 14. And then over the next 17 minutes, there's a 26-point swing. And Golden State takes Game 3 to take a 3-0 lead over the Blazers. That's just a little bit on Game 3. Here's Dennis Scott with a bunch more.
Game 3, Draymond Green proves he's still the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors without KD. The last 2 ball games in the third quarter, plus 31 for the Warriors. But the bigger key, keep the defense on C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard.
If you look at the film of our defense, we are very aggressive, trying to make them play in the crowd, and they still can make tough shots, and you can live with it, but can't let them be comfortable out there. And we came into the series talking about 5 guys on the string, and we've executed that pretty well.
People want to see me doing it. They want me to be, making shots and doing all this stuff. But it's different when you're out there. Being a part of the game is different than somebody just watching. Just haven't been able to get it done. Obviously, it's frustrating because you could be up 2-1 and you're down 0-3.
What enables Draymond to facilitate so well? I mean, we know about the speed, but what has he picked up maybe a notch in this series?
I think the biggest thing when Kevin is out, Draymond's going to have the ball in his hands more, so that's probably what you're seeing. What I'm pleased with is he's pushing the ball like crazy without turning it over, and that's the key, because if he can generate that kind of pace, but we can still get into our offense if nothing's there, we're still going to get good stuff.
I'm not capable of doing what Kevin does on the basketball floor, and no one else on this team is, or DeMarcus. And so collectively we got to do that. So I just try to take it upon myself to do my part and also try to create a pace that I know we can be successful at.
Before you guys weigh in on what will happen in Game 4, let us get another perspective, and for that we head to Vegas.
Thanks, EJ. It's been a jam-packed sports weekend with the NBA and NHL playoffs going on, as well as the Preakness and PGA Championship, and the energy and excitement in the sportsbook has continued on today. Welcome to the BR stage at the sportsbook at Caesars Palace. I'm Brian Tong. Joining me, the BR betting insider, Miss Kelly Stewart. And Kelly, look, the Warriors have now won 9 straight playoff games against the Trailblazers, and the odds makers are pretty much saying it's going to make it 10 in a row.
Hey, that's exactly what the odds makers are saying. This Golden State team opened up a 3-point favorite, quickly moved to 3.5. Now we're seeing them sitting steady here at Caesars at -4. Moneyline's now up to -175. Listen, I was trying to make a case for Portland. I'm still mad about last night. That being said, Golden State 16-4 straight up in their last 20 against Portland since 2008. Home NBA playoff teams that are 0-3 just win 38% of the time. I just don't think this is a game I want to be part of.
Well, remember what I told you about that. 22 now, straight playoff series with a road win for the Warriors. They delivered on that. All right, let's take a look at the series odds released earlier today. No team has ever come back from an 0-3 deficit to win a series in the playoffs. So for our friends like Charles, who picked the Blazers to win the series and go to the finals, are you touching that long shot? Trailblazers in 7 at +3,000.
Listen, I love the long shots, but there is no shot there. I am not touching that line whatsoever. Listen, I mentioned this the other night. I thought maybe the Trailblazers had lost some of their oomph and couldn't get past it. Last night, they blew a double-digit lead. They're getting swept.
I saw the tweets. You weren't happy, but not even a dollar. Not even a dollar.
Not even $1.
All right. EJ, we'll send it back to you and the guys, but what do you think? Do you like the odds for the Blazers to extend this series?
I defer to Chuck on that. Do you like the odds?
Hey, this Chuck. Give me Blazers in 7. Double down.
What's going to happen in Game 4?
Oh, no, listen, it's over.
Okay.
I was 100% wrong. I got a lot.
Not 100.
Listen.
You were. You both were. No,
it's okay.
And I'll explain why not 100. But go ahead.
Well, first of all, when we made the prediction, they had Nurkic.
No problem.
No, they didn't.
No, when we
made our, they didn't have Nurkic.
that was before he got hurt. That was before he got hurt.
No,
not for the series. No, not for the series.
Before
in the regular season.
Yes, in the regular season, before he broke his leg. But that's irrelevant. The Warriors have outplayed them. Very disappointed. Going back to Game 2, you can't blow that lead. You win that game, it changed the whole complexion of the series. But then to come at home and compete like that, then blow another big double-digit lead. There's no excuse for that. They're going to get swept. See ya.
Well,
1, 2, 3 can't
and
come.
that really messes with your confidence because, you know, of course they can compete with the team when they play the right way. They've showed that. But to lose big leads in 2 games, mess with their confidence.
How has Golden State done this from what you see without Kevin Durant to be 4-0 since he went down?
Well, again, yes, they're a dynasty with Kevin Durant, but they're still a champion without him. And you know, we've said that, and we could see that Portland can play with them. Obviously, if you go up double-digit leads twice, that means you could play with a team. But there's a difference between knocking someone out and knocking the champ out. The champ has a little bit different swagger, a different understanding, a different experience. If you go from any sport, from boxing to basketball, knocking a champ out is different than knocking someone else out. And Portland Trailblazers, to this point, have not figured out how to knock a champ out.
And I want to give Steve Kerr some credit.
Oh, without question.
Because not just Steve, their entire coaching staff. Because they're bringing guys off the bench. Going back to Game 6 against the Rockets, you know, we obviously know they're stars, but they're bringing guys, so which tells me their coaching staff keep those guys.
Mike Brown.
I don't know the whole staff, but I'm just saying. When I said coaching staff, I mean them all, fool.
Well, you could name names.
No.
Fool, you can name names instead of just.
I just want to say, Steve and his coaching staff have done a fantastic job of having those guys ready to go in pressure situations. I mean, you're going on the road for Game 6 against the Rockets. They bench played fantastic. Now you've obviously played 3 games in a row well, but give Steve Kerr and his staff credit for having their bench ready to play and those kids for coming in and playing well.
And Ernie, a lot of championship teams, the 1-2 punch is not always the heart and soul of your team. Without question. Draymond is definitely the heart and soul. You guys had Vernon Maxwell. We had D-Fish and Rick Fox, but he's playing great. You know, he said, look, I can't do what Kevin do, but I get it, push it. Give it to
I love when you talk about Rick Fox, because that's a pretty man.
Splash Brothers have outscored Lillard and McCollum.
Rick Fox, a pretty man.
178 to 123 in this series, and the Golden State Warriors have assisted on 70% of their made field goals in this series. Steve Kerr on Draymond, he's a wrecking ball out there, destroying everything in his path.
Agreed. Oh, no.
Come on, man. Stop that. Stop that.
Because the song is so old, we forgot that was the video.
Stop it.
Come on,
Stop
Alex.
it, man.
You can do a lot better.
Come on, Alex.
Come on, Alex.
You know what? I'm going to brighten up your day, you three. When we come back.
What did you do? You going to
let us go?
When we come back. Yeah, let us off the air before daylight.
Hey, look, I'm not even going to give you the surprise if you're not nice. We got an audio tune next.
Oh, we know.
Hall of Famer sat down with Stephen A., Max, and Molly on First Take this morning and said he doesn't have any regrets. He said he didn't have a relationship with Rob Pelinka until they were paired up to turn the organization around, and how things changed in the chain of command in his second year as the Lakers VP. Listen to this. Like he did running a Showtime fast break, Magic Johnson got right to the point during a nearly hour-long interview on First Take on why he abruptly left the Lakers last month, saying he was backstabbed by general manager Rob Pelinka.
If you're going to talk betrayal, it's only with Rob. And then I start hearing, you know, Magic, you're not working hard enough. Magic's not in the office. So people around the Laker office was telling me Rob was saying things. And
Rob Pelinka,
and I didn't like those things being said behind my back, that I wasn't in the office enough.
But when you allude to the backstabbing, was it Rob Pelinka that you're talking about? Is it Rob Pelinka and other people within the Lakers organization? Who exactly were you talking to?
No, just Rob.
But there was another breaking point on why the Laker icon stepped down. The future of head coach Luke Walton became a big issue. According to Magic, owner Jeannie Buss was listening to many voices inside the organization, including Lakers president of basketball operations, Tim Harris.
The straw that broke the camel's back was I wanted to fire Luke Walton. So when we went back and forth like that, and then she brought Tim Harris into the meeting, you know, some of the guys. And Tim, he wanted to keep him because he was friends with Luke. When I looked up and said, wait a minute, I only really answer to Jeannie Buss. Now I got Tim involved. And I said, it's time for me to go. And I told them, when it's not fun for me, when I think that I don't have the decision-making power that I thought I had, then I got to step aside. What I wanted to do was just bring in my coach. My frustration was, you got to let me hire my own people. Jeannie got to empower somebody, whoever that is. She huddles up with Linda Ramis, and probably now even, I think Phil Jackson advises her a little bit. Somebody's got to be the leader.
As for why Magic didn't call LeBron James to let him know that he was stepping down before telling the public, he said this.
I love LeBron, but sometimes as a man, you have to make decisions based on your well-being. And I made that decision based on me. I could have done it a different way. Yes, he's right, but I did it my way. I'm not a regretful person. This was building up.
What do you make of these rumors that the Lakers could potentially trade LeBron James?
That's not going to happen.
Okay. Thank you for answering that.
That's not going to happen. This guy is special. He has helped our young players so much. He's going to be the #1 recruiter this summer.
Well, the opposite of special, the Lakers the last 6 years during their 6-year playoff drought. How about the changes? 4 different head coaches, 2 different GMs, and a major power struggle between the Buss family in 2017 when Jeannie Buss became the controlling owner. Sage?
All right, Kev, this was a scene a couple hours after Magic spoke. Rob Pelinka himself introducing the Lakers' new head coach, Frank Vogel. We will hear from Vogel a little later here on SportsCenter, but as you can imagine, everybody was waiting to hear Pelinka's reaction to Magic's comments that he was the problem, he was the backstabber. Here's Pelinka.
I think the most important thing for me is the 2 years of getting to work side by side with Irvin are some of the greatest memories I have in sports and work. He's an unbelievable person to work with. He fills the room with joy and vision. And truly it's saddening and disheartening to think he believes things that are a misperception. I think all of us in life probably have been through things where maybe there's third-party whispers or he said, she said things that aren't true. And then I have talked to him several times since he decided to step away. We've had many joy-filled conversations. In fact, 2 days ago, we were reliving the combine and the 4th pick and talking about the great future that this franchise has. So these things are surprising to hear and disheartening. But I look forward to the opportunity to talk with him and sit down with him and work through them, just like in any relationship, because they're just simply not true. I stand beside him. I stand with him as a colleague, as a partner. I've always supported everything he's done and will continue to. And, you know, I think that's the best way to address that.
NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski is here. All right, Woj. Magic, there's so much to talk about here. Magic did not hold back. Rob Pelinka seemed to take the higher road, I guess. What is your biggest takeaway from all this today?
I think 2 things with Magic Johnson. Number 1, a lot of excuses and blame on other people for the simple fact that he didn't want to do this job. He said he told Jeannie Buss in the beginning, I'm not going to be here on a full-time basis. I'm going to run my business. He didn't stay in there on a full-time basis. He was not around very often. So if Rob Pelinka had said to somebody, Magic's not here, he's not around, it was a statement of fact. Maybe not so much backstabbing. And number 2, the fact that Magic brought up the idea today of wanting to buy the Lakers. They're not for sale, but certainly he got that idea out there that he would like to own that team. To me, that was certainly something of a message to Jeannie Buss.
Everything he does and says is strategic. Is that the reason in your mind why he came out and wanted to talk about all of this today?
I think it was, there's no question it was part of it, but the blaming of everybody else for him walking away, how he quit, in the end, he made it very clear this job takes tremendous commitment. He wasn't willing to make it.
Right, even though he made that clear to Jeannie Buss from the beginning. And at the end of the day, she's the leader. She's the boss. And so you have to point to the top when there's an issue like this or issues. So now she's got an even bigger problem on her hands. Pelinka's still running things. How does she fix it, Woj?
She has to lead here. And by Magic Johnson not being around, by him going weeks at a time, not being around the facility, not evaluating talent, not working with his coaches, it created a leadership vacuum. And you've seen a lot of people, a lot of names, the Rambuses, Tim Harris, Phil Jackson, different people are going to fill that void. She has to decide about how she wants this organization to run. By committee with lots of people, or does she want to centralize it? And right now, she seems to want this organization by committee. That's a hard way to do it in the NBA.
And if it stays that way, then how can anyone expect things to change? By the way, Frank Vogel, the new head coach, congratulations. This is going to be fun. Speaking of Frank, we have much more on his news. It was about him, but of course, Pelinka was going to be asked about the Magic situation. Welcome to Los Angeles. LeBron was in attendance there. What does that mean? We'll talk about that and much more. Woj, thank you. Good stuff. The Western Conference Finals is tonight as the Golden State Warriors go for the sweep on the heels of another comeback win over the Portland Trail Blazers. Here is what is on the line tonight. If the Warriors win, they join the 1950s and 60s Celtics as the only team to make 5 straight finals appearances. That Boston dynasty made 10 straight finals appearances. Incredible. So far, the Warriors have been riding the hot hand of Stephen Curry. He can become the 6th player in league history to score 35 points in the first 4 games of a series, joining LeBron and Michael Jordan, among a couple of other greats. On the flip side, it's been a tough go for Damian Lillard. We found out yesterday that he's been playing with separated ribs since Game 2. That might explain why he is shooting just 33% in this series. But, you know, he's not the only one battling injuries. Andre Iguodala's calf tightness has him listed as questionable for Game 4. It's that left calf strain. And, boy, could the Warriors use him to close out the series. He was only able to play 18 minutes in Game 3. Jalen Rose joins me now, live from Portland, Oregon, here on SportsCenter. And Jalen, good to see you. If Iggy can't go tonight, how does that affect the Blazers' chances of trying to extend the series?
It has a big-time effect because of the versatility of Andre Iguodala. He gives it to you in particular on the defensive end, late in games, as you saw earlier in the series, big-time strip against Dame Lillard. The Golden State Warriors like to do a lot of switching on the perimeter. He can guard up front. He can guard in the backcourt. He can also get out in transition. He's a really good cutter, a finisher at the hoop. So missing his experience is really going to be a big loss for the Golden State Warriors.
Okay, how about this with Kevin Durant? I mean, we know definitively that he can't go tonight. His cap will be reevaluated tomorrow. But take a look at this, Jalen. The Warriors, they're 7-4 with Durant this postseason, and they're 4-0 without him. So let's assume the Warriors advance to the finals again. Would KD's return be a luxury or a necessity for this team to complete the three-peat? Because those numbers without him are pretty good.
Sage Steele,
I'm serious.
a necessity. And I'll give you another stat that really doesn't matter much. They're 29-1 when KD doesn't play and Steph Curry does play, and it still doesn't matter. I have to defend the honor of one Kevin Durant, the reigning back-to-back finals MVP. Steph Curry has been amazing. We've seen what he could do earlier in his career, and he's been dominant lately. Draymond Green, Swiss Army knives, all of that is great. But Kevin Durant is an unstoppable force on the elbow, in mid-range, going isolation. He's an improved defender. He gives them depth up front. You are not better without Kevin Durant.
Agreed.
I almost feel like I got to get into the comments with him and defend his honor on
stay
IG.
out of the comments.
It's a necessity to have KD in your roster.
Stay out of the comments, Jalen Rose. But I just got to make sure that you're, staying with your original story, that, you don't change your mind along the way. Jalen Rose, thank you. And by the way, Jalen predicting a sweep tonight, I can tell you that much. Sorry,
Wally's,
Yes, Wally's, put the broom back, says Damian Lillard. He's got the 20.3 point per game average this series. Down, though, in this series in particular from the other games so far this postseason. We'll see what happens tonight, 9 Eastern on ESPN.